welcome back for round 4 of this, the final open in the Tuesday Night Eternals series for the Invitational next week. We come into round 4 on a similar match. We got Argenport Mid, piloted by Marten, versus the TJP Alessi deck, ABCDEF, piloted by SooNo. Both decks we have seen previously, although this Argenport deck actually very different than the previous Argenport decks we've seen. Not a single Minotaur present in this one, actually. No Black Book, no Tavrod, nothing. Choose instead going with something like Siditi. Svetya Lightbringer, also the top end of choice. Rollins, more kind of a similar to the Argenport decks that we saw before the most recent.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, some Argenport decks opting to go for the Minotaur package, and some just opting to go for the good stuff package because a roll unanswered can just take over a game. Svetya unanswered can take over a game. Siditi's Curse unanswered can take over a game. So,
Yep, absolutely. And not to say that it's devoid of tools from Unleash, because as we can see here, Parliament Elder, a very strong new option given to this type of deck by Unleash.
that said, the Argenport deck's going to have to take a mulligan here. One deplete power the first 3 turns, essentially. The way this hand would develop would be deplete Silex and then etchings and then, yeah. So, much better mulligan.
A lot strong.
Exploit on 2, Parliament Elder on 3, Dinosaur on 4. Can't complain.
Absolutely. Both decks really kind of getting to do what they want to do on the first couple turns.
So yeah, SooNo with that turn to Dinosaur Nest. Thank you, Coin Flips, for granting me the power of the play. You know, right under the exploit.
Yeah, that exploit versus Dinosaur Nest, the classic dichotomy, a tale as old as time. As the exploit's still going to come down, likely going to take the Rhodey or the Valkyrie Enforcer, I'd say. Potentially
I'm looking at the Twilight Hunt,
Yeah.
considering the dinosaurs.
Twilight Hunt, I said Xenon Infiltration. Wrong killer card.
Right.
Yeah, able to... The Nightfall, giving the aggro deck some card advantage, is a potential threat, and the killer on the dinosaurs and the buff, potentially relevant, however not immediately so. Obviously, anything besides the Winchest Merchant big enough to be outside the killer range. Does choose to take the Valkyrie Enforcer, though, just wanting to make sure they don't get a turn 3 play or at all able to silence the Magnaventress or the Parliament Elder. Has to
come
choose.
down here because the Winchester Merchant just eats the Twilight Hunt from the Dinosaur Nest spawn token thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, Parliament Elder gonna be the choice. And looking to more effectively eat the dinosaur. Can't get killered afterward.
Yeah.
Could still potentially get killered if the attack comes in with the dinosaur blocks and then Twilight Hunt on the Brody. But
Correct.
that would also be a very obvious attack. Similar to here, you block and they Twilight Hunt the dinosaur. You know what's happening. You know it's there.
Yeah, exactly.
And SooNo definitely has play here still. The board is looking very good, and the further we get toward that dinosaur nest flipping, it's looking even better, but is starting to run out of cards. And with the Parliament Elder online right now, potentially able to ramp into this Svetya right now, if attack comes out. Not this turn, obviously, but Svetya coming down on 5 compared to 6 can be a very big difference.
True. Okay, Elder gonna crack in, gonna stun itself, gonna play Justice Sigil. I think we see the exploit now. I'm not sure what it's going after, whether it's going after the crescendo or the Twilight Hunt. Uh,
Yeah,
Instead, the
look.
crescendo is just going to be played in response, and it's
Yep,
going to pick up Stand Together.
going to be immediately cast as well. Not left with much of a choice there on that exploit, but
Right.
I do like that play at least. You want to burn the cards there, and I do think uh, the fearless crescendo probably would have been the pick. Would nothing happen there with the exploit? Just having access to the stand together to prevent anything like a harsh ruler and nothing remains. Nothing remains being the card of choice that is actually in the deck.
Right. Okay. So
It
know thy
has
know thy enemy the pickup, but how exactly will that card get through this get through the Aegis? That's a question for another time. In the meantime, we're just
gonna
okay.
pops the Aegis and gets one dinosaur off the board. I would assume just looking for something off the top and whiffs.
Right.
Yeah, very unimpactful turn 6 compared to the Svetya that could have been. Obviously, no way to know you're going to whiff prior to casting the Know Thy Enemy. Yeah,
Even so, I think it would have been more defensible to just play this Vetcha without her Surge, and then the next turn, Surge, know thy enemy, and potentially get a buffed unit off this Vetcha. Instead, we're going to have 12 coming across.
yeah. Getting the dinosaur off the table, though, might have been just all they were thinking about, though, considering the dinosaur off the table does represent 3 damage off the table, and when you're playing on 6 life already, it's going to be very, very close. And the attack comes in from Parliament Elder, likely going to see swap power for nothing remains. Yeah. And now we're in a pretty decent spot. Flip Dinosaur Nest on, but no dinosaurs to buff. We have a
And this tradition chant cannot invoke because Sono's missing one primal influence.
yep, and Svetya coming down is gonna be the start of what could be turning the corner, especially if these draws keep coming in like this.
Okay, there's a second primal influence. Let's see what the invoke has. Sono in the tank. Again, we can't see the invoke options. The technology not quite there yet to show us these sorts of options for Sono.
Maybe one
Either
day.
Sono has three great choices, or Sono has three kind of lackluster choices. And with Invoke and Throne, I'm thinking it's the latter. Static
Static
Bolt.
Bolt. Well,
Yeah, those weren't good choices.
hey, maybe we invoke 3 more Static Bolts off of the other tradition chants, although I very much doubt it. So, guess it's going to be able to deal with that 2/2. Uh, Edict of Grodov also going to be pretty sad on a non-Feln unit.
Shadow and good against Primal. But yeah, Sono just drunk dead there.
Yep, the very good start for Sono, but obviously the nothing remains turning the corner, and the Know Thy Enemy the turn before obviously very rewarded for using it
Yeah.
when they did, given that they drew the other Winchester Merchant immediately after that.
Yep.
Uh, Obviously, couldn't have known that prior to the play because Winchester Merchant was top deck, but
Right.
did end
I
up
guess
paying
that
off.
yeah, I guess that was one of those play your outs, or maybe just hey, let me just remove this one unit and hopefully, top deck
Yeah,
something, and then the know
yeah,
thy
give
enemy's whiffed.
give yourself a little bit more extra life to play with now. Remove the Aegises for a potential Nothing Remains later, because you know that they can't do anything else. There's no other stand-togethers that are going to be played.
Mm-hmm.
And could also obviously always hit off the Know Thy Enemy as well, which would be a very decent board swing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is things are flipped in the dinosaur nest dichotomy this time, but double
Yeah,
dinosaur nest means it's still going to come down.
exactly. Last game, exploit dinosaur nest under the exploit. Now it's okay. You get the exploit, but I have two dinosaur nests.
Dinosaur nest over the exploit.
Yep,
In spite of the exploit, I'm going with in spite of the exploit.
in spite of the exploit. Good way to go with it.
Yeah, it
I
has a
still think a dinosaur nest might be the take. No.
no. Yeah, a dinosaur nest, double dinosaur nest, powerful. Uh, still maybe it. Fearless Crescendo though. I think I do agree with the Fearless Crescendo take for the exploit because Fearless Crescendo could grab a stand together, and you have outs in Know Thy Enemies and Nothing Remains to
Right.
the double dinosaur nest. But if they have Aegis, then you're just out.
Yeah.
Uh, would have to have a situation like last game where both of them are in play.
Right.
Speaking of the Nothing Remains,
Yep. Don't have the 6 power for the know thy enemy with the amplify. So
yep, just a little bit off. Now have the option to get it, but not for a while still. Going to be naturally going to 6 power on turn 6. No ramp this time.
yep. Though Martin deploying the Magnaventris, despite the nothing remains in hand. Kind of awkward.
Yeah, Nothing Remains does not play well when you're also trying to commit to the board, although I would imagine that the Magnaventress is coming out to bait SooNo into committing his Magnaventress to the board.
Let's see.
Because all you have to do for the Nothing Remains is make sure that you're the one that's going to have the better board afterward. And in a deck where you're playing things like Svetya, Siditi, and Roland, and your opponent is playing things like an Alessi and a Derry, that's not a tough ask.
True. Okay, so now we have Magnaventri bashing into each other, trying to see who's the first to get the other armor down. Okay, Valken forced her off the top.
Yeah,
How much
could
does Martin want to commit, to the board in a marginal, how much does Martin want to commit to the board? The margin. Okay, Valken Forcer gonna go after the Magnum Ventress.
yep, very willing to commit to the board in this situation. Saves Martin saves his own armor here by doing this, okay, so that his Magnaventress does not get eaten by the other one.
Mm-hmm.
SooNo obviously also knowing, hey, my opponent probably marketed for nothing or no other enemy, so I'm gonna hold on to this Brody.
Yeah, this Brody adds absolutely nothing to the board.
Yep. And that nothing remains going to have to get fired off either this turn or next turn, probably next turn, as the first dinosaur nest is going to flip next turn. And if the second one flips and there are still dinosaurs on the table, it will be a very quick game.
Yeah. Flip, this 3/4 Magnum Ventress is going to be a 7/8. And, even if the little baby dinos get wiped out, the 7/8 itself is still nothing to scoff at.
Yep. Has the option to know and does know thy enemy.
No, that be without the amplified. Not sure
I
how to feel about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I agree with that because I think you have the resources in the life to take one hit from one flipped dinosaur nest.
Right.
Uh, and if you know thy enemy, then, however, I will also say that this incentivizes committing Brody now that a sweeper's gone. So nothing remains can come down and deal with everything, and and Suno's just out of gas. It does appear that's what Martin's going to do. Because this attack definitely signifies I'm going to play my board wipe.
Yeah, you have to wipe. Otherwise, you are getting taken for a ride. And not a moment too soon with a second Fearless Crescendo coming off the top for a possible stand together.
Yep. And Martin gonna be able to get something else from the Martin or from the market. 8 mana Svetya, not quite there. Looks like pick up a Siditi that he marketed away prior.
Hmm.
Uh, and the Siditi coming down after the attack, especially, is
On,
going to be looking in very good shape.
yeah, Onslaught Siditi. SooNo once again in a lot of trouble now with a curse of provocation on his face. 7 damage in the air. So a very solid 2 turn clock.
Yeah,
And
SooNo,
SooNo has no way of dealing damage. So that's going to be at least 1 card for Marten.
yep. One card, the Alessi with the Bubble Shield, with the Fearless Crescendo, and with something potentially out of the market, maybe even an Edict of Grota, probably a Pristine Light, maybe. Oh, but the Shrivel and the Valk Enforcer is just going to be huge.
That's a rough one.
Yeah, Bubble Shield going to be able to block this. The Shrivel coming down can actually save it with Fearless Crescendo, mark it for Stand Together. Is exactly what's going to be happening. And up to a 6/6 now, actually able to stand its own in the air against that 5/5 Siditi. And the mirror image,
Wow. Well, this
very good.
escalated quickly. Nevertheless, the Celestia has to come in to keep the curse of provocation from drawing.
Yep. And gonna trade off 2 units. Or 1 unit, sorry. Double block, but only enough to get one off the table. A crest off the top.
Okay, this is remaining on top.
Ooh.
7/7 flying Aegis Alessi.
Magician Champ buffs it up to 8/8, and even if the invoke here is not good, then it's still like bottom floor of this probably is just a random spell to buff Alessia, and that's not even bad.
Not bad. Once again, Sono in the tank picks up a relic weapon.
Yeah, with the armor off Alessi, this is going to be a very sticky relic weapon as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not even going to be able to hit it off with the Winchest Merchant, and not even going to be able to hit it off with a Winchest Merchant plus getting the merchant hit afterward. That Stormhold
Stormbolt
plating
blading, not enough.
looking very rough against the 8/8 Alessi.
Make that 9/9.
Yeah, and SooNo is looking very good to close this game out. As at this point, I don't believe there is yeah, because a Valk Enforcer wouldn't even do it because of the relic weapon at this point. So Valk Enforcer pop the Aegis and then the relic weapon clears it. If the weapon weren't there, that would be a potential out. But yeah, SooNo ties it up.
Yeah.
Off the,
Alessi got there.
yeah, Alessi, uh, reason she is very much an auto include in all those kinds of decks. Very much a reason why those decks are a very powerful option.
Yeah. That's just Alessi doing Alessi things. Oh, you top decked a 1 drop when your opponent has a Siditi and a Winchester Merchant staring down on you and the curse, and somehow wins the game. Just Alessi things.
Just Alessi things indeed. We're looking for a not great hand from SooNo into a very solid 6, actually. Has a dinosaur nest able to come down on two. Has a dairy captain that is going to be reasonable. Every color of influence.
Mm-hmm. Uh, and of course, the exploit.
Yep, dinosaur nest not going over this time.
Yep, I think Dinosaur Nest is a snag. Derry Cathane is cute, but on her own, just not enough.
Yeah, does line up very awkwardly against Martin's removal though. Kit, but the Valkyrie Enforcer coming down next turn, rendering that 0-4 just in 0-4.
Yep, nice wall, bro.
And backup Valkyrie Enforcer even,
Yep.
which Falcon Enforcer, not we haven't talked about it quite yet, but I think Falcon Enforcer one of the best cards you can have against the ABCDEF deck. Really, a lot of their units very reliant on the text on the card,
Well, of
as opposed
course.
as opposed to say something like a Sadidi that you silence it, but it's already done its job. It's still a 5/5. Uh,
Yep.
so turning Brody, especially Brody and Alessi, if you tag that Alessi with the silence early on, it can't go off and do the things that you saw last time. If you tag the Brody with the silence, you played a 1 mana 0/3.
Right.
Choosing to bubble shield to save the secondary.
Hmm. Trying to tick up that Derry power for her ultimate.
And I believe with this tradition chant, we will have enough. Uh, as yes, two spells in the void, so this guarantees it, no matter the shape of the rest of the graveyard. There,
And oh wow, that's a big thing.
the
I believe
Shrivel.
it's when you play a spell, play a 2/2 locust. It's a 5/5.
Very interesting. Gonna have to get up to 6 power though, and that can sometimes be a bit of an ask for these decks. Although I guess not in this case.
No, that is coming along. Question being if it'll have the support necessary by the time it comes down.
Yeah, Martin in a very solid spot right here, especially with Sadidi coming down. The Dairy Cathane forced to chump the 6/7 Magna Ventress, and just looking at lethal, and SooNo packs it up for Martin taking the series in 3.
Hmm. Congratulations to Martin. And do we have any backup matches going on?
Looks like news from the back table is at least Stormguard taken down by Phoenix. Phoenix was on Reanimator, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Phoenix is on TJP aggro.
Oh, you were correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Ships versus Boxer then is what we're going to go into. Yeah, Phoenix was on that TGP aggro that we just saw lose. So Phoenix did win round one. So yeah, Phoenix was undefeated up until this point. So Phoenix is now the only undefeated, taking down Stormguard, who was undefeated up until that point.
Understood. And combo versus combo, so looks like both players are in a bit of a state of do nothing.
Yeah, don't quite know how many and what relics are available for Apple Chip to decide, but that end of an era gonna make sure it's down to only a cheering section. Must have heard me wondering what was going on and just wanted to make things simple for it.
Hey, keep the end of an era, and there is a shrine to carve it.
Yep. Gonna get the shrine. Got an Azurite Praxis back. See a Kindling Carver and I believe a Pitfall Trap. Yes. From Apple Chips' hand. That 6th power is actually fairly big for the Boxer right now. Unfortunately depleted. So not going to be able to do anything else this turn.
Deplete power means no carve it. And this carver means the shrine is online.
Oh yeah, this shrine looking very good right now with the second one even drawn to complement it for a very big attack right now. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. This is not lethal given the 1-2 blocker. At the moment, yeah, but the pitfall trap, yeah, still, yeah, that is lethal though.
Just,
And
but
that
yeah,
is
Chips takes
game
it.
3. So Apple Chips takes out the boxer, and I believe that is in fact the last game of the round. So that means we are going to be going to another quick break here, and we will be
Mhm.
coming back for the fifth and final round of Swiss before cutting the top 8.
Yep. See you soon.